With the TC Electronic PLETHORA X5 recently hitting the market, I wanted to take some time to compare it to a similar pedal, the Boss MS-3. Both of these pedals are multi-effects pedals with loops, but they're used a bit differently. As a disclaimer, I personally have the MS-3 on my board. This video isn't really intended to be a shootout. I'm not going to A/B any specific effects. Both of them are really great sounding multi-effects pedals, especially if you're knowledgeable about the parameters with each effect that you would want to control. If you're interested in getting a multi-effects pedal that you can control external pedals with, both the MS-3 and the PLETHORA are great options depending on your situation. With that, let's get into it. The PLETHORA comes in at $499 and the Boss MS-3 comes in at $399. Without even turning on the pedals, let's talk about the size and construction. With the PLETHORA having one extra toggle, it's slightly larger than the MS-3, but not by much, and you do get that extra pedal, so that's a benefit. Construction-wise, neither feel cheaply made. Personally, I like the more rugged Boss look. It kind of reminds me of one of Bob Bradshaw's switchers. But the PLETHORA utilizes the mash toggle, so you get a little more bang for your buck per toggle with the PLETHORA. Let's turn the pedals on and talk about the user interface. Personally, I think the PLETHORA takes the cake on this one. Having designated screens for every pedal is great. They don't have to use any abbreviations on the settings because so much of the real estate of the pedal is taken up by screens. It's also really cool that each pedal is color-coded. The Hall of Fame is red, the Sub and Up is blue and red, the Brainwaves is pink, so on and so forth. I pulled this out of the box and pretty much had it figured out in a couple minutes. There's some hidden features like being able to switch between pedal boards without having to bend down and use this toggle with your hand. So I probably wouldn't have figured that out without going online or reading the manual. But overall, it's a pretty simple board to navigate. The MS-3, on the other hand, took me a bit of playing around to figure out the editor. I own the pedal and I still find myself having to refresh myself on the controls every time I want to change things up. There's a pretty steep learning curve, but once you play around with it, it becomes a little less intimidating. There's also a computer editor for the MS-3 that's very user-friendly. There are a bunch of tutorials talking about how to use the editor, so I'm not going to do too much of a deep dive in this video. But talking about the UI of the MS-3 brings me to my next point, which is ultimately about functionality. These pedals have a lot of similarities, but they're also really different. The PLETHORA, while having an effects loop, I would mostly consider this to be a multi-effects pedal. The MS-3, on the other hand, allows you to build patches. So say you want compression and octave and chorus on all at the same time. With a patch, what that allows you to do is hit one button, and if you pull up that patch, now all of those effects turn on at the same time. Whereas with this, if you wanted octave, you'd have to hit this pedal. If you wanted chorus, you'd have to hit this pedal, and compression, this pedal, if that's how you had it laid out. Then say you wanted to switch from that effect to, let's say, just like an envelope filter. So now I can program number 2 on here to be my envelope filter, and when I tap number 2, that's going to turn on my envelope filter while simultaneously turning off all those effects that were on the other patch. With this pedal, you'd have to turn off the individual pedals and then turn on the envelope filter. So say you wanted to have similar control over this like you have over this. So say you didn't necessarily want to use patches all the time, you can also hit this toggle here to switch to manual mode. Now you have individual controls over all of the effects that are built into that patch. A lot of the gigs that I play are solo gigs where I utilize a loop pedal. So being able to hit patches for me is a game changer because I'm already utilizing my feet to start and stop loops. So having to start a loop and then turn on a bunch of effects and turn off a bunch of effects, really, I just want to cut back on the amount of things that I need to press in order to make a song happen. So patches are great for me. The way I have mine set up is I've got just a clean guitar with a little bit of compression and reverb on patch 1. On patch 2, I have an octave set up so I can play bass lines and record them into a loop. Patch 3 I have set up as an envelope filter. It's a little bit different flavor that allows me to solo and kind of change things up when I'm sick of just running clean all the time. And then patch 4 I have is like a really reverb and delay heavy kind of ambient setting. So being able to switch to all of those different patches without having to hit a bunch of pedals, just being able to hit, I want my bass sound, boom, that's my bass sound. I want my clean sound with compression and a little bit of reverb, that's that. Being able to do that has really been a game changer for me. So with all that being said, if you're generally into TC Electronic and you like what they're doing with the tone prints, this is a great option for you. And if you're interested in being able to build patches and kind of create a bit of a more automated system, I highly recommend the Boss MS-3. Both are great pedals, it just depends on what you're hoping to do with them. If you found this video to be helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.